So I'm going to do a round of questions, and then we'll go to Senator Helmy, if that's all right, because I've got 2 rounds here that I want to get to. All right. So a progressive tax code can give a break to families and small businesses while making sure that those at the top pay a fair share. And that gives us enough money to make the investments we need to make in roads and bridges and infrastructure and schools and Social Security and the things we need to buy to keep this country going. I want to talk for just a minute, though, about the politics and power, about how all of this works. For decades now, instead of a tax system running that way, we've gotten caught in a doom loop on taxes. So Republicans pass these giant tax cuts for the wealthy. They toss a few small breaks to everyone else. And then, because of the special tax breaks they get, the rich get richer, and their growing piles of cash fund the armies of lobbyists that demand even greater tax breaks. Meanwhile, because billionaires and billionaire corporations are skipping out on their tax bills, deficits go through the roof. Republicans then use rising deficits as an excuse to cut the programs that American families rely on. Over time, the rich get richer and everyone else gets left behind. The result, Jeff Bezos and Elon Musk pay a lower tax rate than firefighters and public school teachers. So let's look at the most recent tax scam. I know we've gone over this a little bit, but I want to see if we can get it on the record and then tie it into other parts of what's happening here. $2 trillion tax giveaway to millionaires and billionaires that Donald Trump signed in 2017. And the sequel he's now promised that he will renew for his billionaire buddies this year. So, Mr. Duke, what was the impact of the 2017 Trump tax cuts on the U.S. economy? Did those tax cuts trickle down and supercharge our economy?
No. Economic growth stayed the same. Investment fell. Stock buybacks, though, did surge.
Okay, so let's see. Business investment actually fell?
Slightly.
All right.
And housing investment cratered.
Housing investment cratered. Corporate profits, what happened to them?
They went up after tax.
Corporate profits went up. Stock buybacks? Record stock buybacks up, and executive pay.
That also went up.
Okay. Ms. Schuler, tell me, did the Trump tax cuts trickle down to the 12.5 million union workers that you represent at the AFL-CIO? Transportation workers, food workers, teachers, construction workers, nurses, and more?
The simple answer is no. The tax cuts, of course, went to CEOs, shareholders, not workers. And every dollar in tax cuts that a bigwig in the top 1% got, a worker at the bottom 60% got less than 1 cent.
So the rich get $1, and the workers get a penny.
Less
right?
than a penny.
Less than a penny.
Yep.
Okay, I think we're detecting a theme here. And Mr. Moreno, did the 2017 tax cuts for millionaires and billionaires lift up Black Americans and other underserved communities that you represent at the National Urban League?
Not at all. Not at all. The tax cuts widened the racial wealth gap, and there was no impact on incomes or on closing the twin of the racial wealth gap, which is the racial income gap. So there was no impact. There's no evidence that it had an impact. And any positive movement between then and now came from the American Rescue Plan, came from the post-COVID investments that were led by the Biden administration and many of you. That's important. So any improvement cannot be attributed to the 2017 tax cuts.
Okay, so this time around, though, it's going to be the same old scam. Trump has promised he will splash out another $4 trillion, extending all of his rich pals' tax cuts, and throw a few more goodies in for good measure, and that he will give another rate cut for billionaire corporations. And he's promised a little something extra for big oil, and that means one more loophole for Wall Street. here's the part now that I want to see if we can draw a connection. Special interests lavished eye-popping amounts of money to get Donald Trump reelected. And now these same special interests are ready to collect. But wait, Donald Trump says, don't mind all that. He says that he will cut taxes on overtime pay and Social Security for everyone else. So that's how this is going to work out. Ms. Schuler, you represent these workers. Is that a good deal for workers?
No, and the operative word is scam. It's the exact same scam that we've seen before. And so the Trump plan is to give your average worker pennies, or less than a penny, as we've said, while the real money and the benefits of the plan actually go to the rich, and so thus widening this gap that we've all been talking about. And not taxing overtime sounds good, but we all heard Trump's Project 2025 would actually eliminate overtime. So we keep saying, okay, well, I guess you can make a promise to not tax something that doesn't exist. That's a pretty easy, taxing zero is zero. But we've also seen that, a Trump-appointed judge actually just blocked the Biden administration's rule to provide overtime pay protections for 4 million workers, as we saw in the Biden administration, that expansion. And so that Trump-appointed judge blocked it. So I think this is just another, as we've said, another attempt to pay for a tax giveaway to the people who don't need it. People like Elon Musk, who propose to slash federal programs, whether it's Social Security to affordable child care, to investments in good manufacturing jobs, like we've seen with clean energy investments that we know have been coming. If you eliminate those, that's actually going to create a downward pressure on the ability to have a pathway to the middle class and have good jobs in this country, to pay for these tax cuts that we do not need.
That's right. So think about that. Donald Trump says he will slash taxes, end taxes on overtime, but he will also end overtime, and says he will cut taxes on Social Security at the same time that his running buddy right now, Elon Musk, is saying they're going to slash Social Security. Trump and his buddies think that if they throw small cuts to working people, that no one will notice that millionaires and billionaires are pocketing trillions of dollars. They think that if they give small tax cuts to working people, that they won't notice when infrastructure jobs dry up or when their Social Security checks are cut. But the American people are not so easily fooled. In December 2017, when Donald Trump signed his $2 trillion tax giveaway into law, it was his lowest approval rating of his entire presidency, second only to the insurrection that he stoked on January 6th. The American people know a scam when they see one. Trump's last tax giveaway was a scam of giant proportions, and his plans for another tax cut for billionaires is just more of the same. Thank you. Senator Helmy.